Welcome, builders of the internet. My name is Jessa and I work as a degree apprentice in construction. Today I'm going to go over 15 things that I wasn't told before I started that I kind of wish I had known. I'm speaking from my personal experience, so if you think I've left anything out, etc., please let me know in the comments.
Is building on my mind.
Number 1. Explore the options. There is an increasingly wide range of apprenticeships available. I was initially searching for stuff in, say, finance, because that's largely what I'd heard about for jobs in the future. However, I've ended up with a job in construction where I really enjoy what I'm doing. That's not to say there's only opportunities in construction and finance. You have stuff in, say, engineering, arts, media, animal care, education, civil service. The list just goes on and on and on. Apprenticeships are a great way to get invaluable work experience as well, which can be really hard to come by nowadays. Number 2, career development. I think a lot of applicants forget to ask, and employers don't always mention how your career can develop once you've finished the apprenticeship. If you've started with a lower level apprenticeship, maybe level 3 or 4, and you've proven yourself to be an asset to the company, some employers will offer you a higher level apprenticeship or even a permanent job position to work there afterwards. It's also worth knowing the job prospects in general, not just within the company. Number 3, employers provide resources. As I mentioned, I'm a degree apprentice and I really do think I get the best of both worlds because I have access to the learning materials that the university has to offer, and some of my colleagues have gone through a similar, if not the same course as me, so I can borrow their old books. On top of that, the company itself has other materials and resources that I can utilise, and they also provide training programmes and other extracurricular type things for an hour here or there, which I found really beneficial. Number 4, getting qualifications simultaneously. I'm also on a chartership course, which means that eventually I'll get a chartership qualification too. So, my university degree and this chartership qualification will all be funded in part by the government apprenticeship levy and the rest by my employer, which ultimately means I have no debt to worry about, which is a huge bonus. Number 5, apprenticeships can be a more intensive route. One thing to consider is that if you're obtaining all these qualifications simultaneously, it can be more intense than just going to university or just going to work. For example, in my first year, I was doing the same number of university modules as the full-time students, but still had a full-time job on top of that. Apprenticeships can be a faster way to get to the end goal. For example, it would take me potentially less than 5 years to get my chartership qualification. However, if I chose the university route and then got a job after that, it could take me over 6 years. Number 6, no proper university experience. Despite the fact that I go to university, I wouldn't consider myself the stereotypical uni student. I've mostly lived with my parents in the time of the apprenticeship, and the friends that I have made through university have their own jobs and live quite far away, so it's pretty hard to meet up with them. It really isn't the thriving social life that you may expect. Number 7, being thrust into the adult world. Whilst it's a nice segue to do an apprenticeship because you're training on the job rather than jumping from full-time education into the working world, I would say that one thing I noticed when I first started was the big age difference between me and my colleagues. They were at very different stages of their lives, some being married and having kids the same age as me or even older. And I was in the mentality of being fresh out of school and having a very different level of maturity. One thing I would suggest is just asking your employer how many other apprentices there are in the office, or how many other people that there are that are roughly your age, so that you can either mentally prepare yourself for being surrounded by proper adults, or you can decide if it's not the right working environment for you. Number 8, a big reduction in friends. Of course, many people are able to make new friends in their working environments, but for me it went from being constantly surrounded by many close friends at school to them all going away to university and living their best lives without me. I found this so overwhelming, and it was a source for a lot of my struggles and low points in the first year after leaving school. I would personally recommend to just reach out to your friends and letting them know how you feel, and potentially using your annual leave to go and visit them. I also use this as my dosage of the university experience. Number 9, no more extended holidays. Essentially, unless you decide to take a break at a later point in your life, you'll have no more 6-week summer holidays, no more 2-week Christmases and Easters, and no more half terms. For me, when university is finished, I need to go back to work full time. So you have to consider how to most effectively use your annual leave or paid holiday time. This includes things such as booking off a Monday or Friday and then having a long weekend, or making the most of your precious bank holidays. Number 10. Show your enthusiasm. Present to the company that you're willing to learn and try to ask questions. You may feel stupid, but generally people are pretty understanding if you don't get something immediately. After all, you are there to learn. Ensure that your hard work and efforts don't go unnoticed by keeping your supervisors up to date with what's going on for you work-wise. You may not see instant reward for this, but it's a long-term investment that will eventually pay off. It means that your colleagues will gain mutual respect for you and your abilities, and it also helps your chances of employment later down the line. Number 11. Productivity. Not every day is going to be as equally productive as each other. Everyone has on and off days, and sometimes you don't achieve as much as you want to, but that's completely normal. I wouldn't necessarily advocate telling everybody that you're not doing as much, but if you feel disappointed with what you've achieved, maybe spend an extra hour at another point to catch up and get where you want to be. Number 12. Networking. I'm still trying to get the hang of this one, but apprenticeships are so good for helping you build up relationships that can help you in your future endeavours. As I've mentioned, if you have a good rapport with your company, it means that you stand more of a chance of being provided opportunities later. If you're invited to networking events, it's important to remember that the people you meet here can really help you in your future career too, if you play your cards right. Number 13. Rejection doesn't mean you're not good enough. Just because you've been turned down from one opportunity absolutely does not mean you won't get another. Every company has their own microculture. Some are more corporate, some are maybe smaller and have a more family-like environment. Thinking that you're not going to get another job just because you've been turned down from one is like thinking you're not going to make any friends just because one person doesn't like you. Saying that, it is worth asking for constructive criticism, so you can assess how you presented yourself and try and work on it to improve for next time. Number 14. It's okay to change your mind. I know that at school you kind of had the mentality of choosing one career path and then being bound to that pretty much for the rest of our lives, but this just isn't true. I have some people on my university course in their 40s who are making this career change. And depending on the type of apprenticeship you choose, you may only be there for a year or two. So if you decide that you don't like it, at least you'll have some money and work experience to back you up. Transferable work skills are very much a thing that can be applied across many different jobs, so this can help you on your next career path too. And finally, number 15. Apprenticeships are a respectable option. I went to a grammar school and looking back, I hated the mentality that a lot of the teachers and students had when someone said that they were going to do an apprenticeship. I think schools may get something in return for sending their students off to prestigious universities. However, it's no reason to not act as proud of the people who are going down an alternative route. There are many apprenticeship positions which are more competitive to get into than university places, and you have achieved something amazing by getting a job offer. Just to round things off, I'd like to point out that, like most things in life, there are pros and cons to apprenticeships. And just because something is an advantage for one person doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be a bonus for you too. I'm not here to force you into an apprenticeship or to steer you away from them, but more to give an objective point of view of what an apprenticeship is from my experience. That's all I have to say for now. I hope it helped to build on your mind.
Thanks for watching this channel, it's building on my mind. Check out my other videos, but first hit the bell and comment, like, subscribe.